The charming Suffolk village of Woolpit is in the 12th century. With farmers working in the fields, bread baking in ovens, and the latest gossip spreading like wildfire, life goes on as usual. But the monotony of daily existence gets disrupted on one extraordinary day. In the middle of a field, two kids with distinctly green skin appear. Does not that sound like the start of a fairy tale? Yet it is said that this story is as real as it gets. Allow me to introduce you to Woolpit, a little peaceful English village with a pretty sinister name. It originates with wolf pits, which are essentially medieval death traps made to capture wolves. However, Woolpit gained fame for something much wilder than wolves in the 12th century, an incident so unusual that it continues to spark debates to this day. One fine day, as villagers were going about their usual medieval chores, grinding wheat, gossiping, and trying not to catch the plague, they stumbled upon two children, a boy and a girl. Their skin was green, their clothes, like nothing anyone had ever seen before, and they spoke a language that no one understood, utter gibberish.
Blorb snobbit quassel.
Quazzle flomp twiddle flop.
When faced with green-skinned, odd-speaking children, the locals naturally did what any respectable medieval person would do. They marched directly to Sir Richard de Cane, the local lord. After all, who better than the man with the largest home and the most fancy title to handle mysterious green children? The children, a girl and a boy, were pushed forward by an increasing number of villagers. As they walked, people shouted outlandish theories like,
"Are they fairies?
Lost spirits.
Has the Flemish turned green at last?"
Others simply gazed with half-open mouths, a mixture of terror and fascination. Almost the entire community was with them when they arrived at Sir Richard's manor. Sir Richard's reaction was almost apparent. A long pause first, then his temples were slowly rubbed. Lastly, the words that every aristocrat in charge of a community will unavoidably say at least once throughout his career.
Now what?
As he emerged, accompanied by a few servants, he saw the two children standing uncertainly in the middle of the crowd. With their own explanations and opinions yelled loudly, the peasants rushed ahead.
"They are from the forest. They are doomed. They must be fed. They would not eat bread,"
exclaimed one farmer in particular, as though that cemented their superhuman character. Sir Richard examined the situation, observing the children's wide, worried eyes, their strange murmuring, and their green-tinged complexion. Clearly unimpressed by the uproar, he raised one eyebrow. Then he gestured for the kids to come inside, as any good lord who understood the importance of what good discipline would do. He gave his steward the order to feed them something they will eat. Because even Sir Richard probably had no idea what was to come, the Green Children of Woolpit had suddenly transformed from a rural oddity to an enigma under the Lord's care. The children were clearly famished. With their large eyes darting anxiously about Sir Richard's manor's grand hall, the children were obviously hungry. They were soon presented with platters of food, full of medieval treats that may have been the epitome of aristocratic dining, or at least what aristocrats could afford in the 12th century. There were hefty slabs of roasted meat dripping with fat, bread so stale you would be better off using it as a weapon than a meal, and even a few exotic goods from distant places. To everyone's surprise, however, the kids turned it all down. They were not lured by any bread, venison, or even a small piece of fruit or cheese. Then a plain bowl of freshly harvested green beans was brought out. The feast started at that point. The kids devoured the beans raw and without hesitation, grabbing them with great anticipation as though they had not eaten in days. Whispering among themselves were the locals who had gathered by the doorway to watch the event. One whispered,
"Do they only eat green food?"
Perhaps it is because of their skin.
Someone else remarked, pointing to the kids' peculiar skin tone. Some even started making wild assumptions about what they were eating. Were these kids ambassadors of some green-skinned forefathers who only ate beans? Sir Richard, on the other hand, could only observe with one raised eyebrow as his youthful visitors gobbled up bean after bean with incredible energy. Maybe he reflected that this was just one more oddity to add to the most bizarre day of his reign as ruler of Woolpit. Whatever he had in mind, it was obvious that these were not your typical kids. In summary, the girl flourished and adjusted to country life, even learning English, before eventually sharing her story. Meanwhile, the boy tragically fell very ill and died. She claimed that they were from St. Martin's land, where the sun never shined and everything had a hue of green. Twilight was constantly visible. They were following their father's herd one day, when they heard bells, church bells specifically, and all of a sudden they were in a foreign country, Woolpit. This story has provided modern thinkers and theorists with endless fuel for speculation and some pretty wild ideas to boot. For the more grounded, pragmatic minds, the explanation might be that the children were Flemish refugees, displaced by the chaotic aftermath of war and famine in the region. It's a tidy explanation, right? Lost kids, sick and traumatized, wandering into Woolpit with skin turned green due to extreme malnutrition. After all, starvation can lead to conditions like chlorosis, a type of iron deficiency anemia that can give skin a greenish tint. Case closed, or is it? Because, let us face it, what fun is there in dull old reality? Some intellectuals will not accept that. Were their enigmatic green color and unintelligible words alien in origin? What if they strayed from a different realm rather than a different region? Perhaps they were visitors from underneath the surface of the earth or interdimensional travelers, an idea based on folklore about fairy folk or hollow realms. The extraterrestrial theory is, of course, my personal favorite. Because why not go all sci-fi if we are already thinking about different dimensions? Imagine two tiny aliens that are stranded on Earth and are attempting to understand human traditions while avoiding starvation. I mean, adding a UFO and a beam of light is the only way this could get better. It is one of the most enduring unsolved mysteries in history, since each theory gives the story a unique flavor. Why choose between spacefaring vegetable aficionados, refugees, or lost souls from another planet? Woolpit green children are a beautiful tale because they arouse a limitless imagination. Thanks for exploring this strange tale with me. If you enjoyed unraveling this medieval mystery, don't forget to like this video and hit subscribe. It's just a click away. And tell me in the comments, what's your theory about the Green Children of Woolpit? I can't wait to hear your ideas.